Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back to your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, as well as the vast majority of crypto and finance. And with that being said, I hope that you are all having a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are out there in the world. We are anticipating ETF approvals. Everyone has been looking at this in the last couple weeks. I mean, even months if you technically go back in time a little bit. I mean, hell, even going all the way back to 2022 and 2021, we were looking at ETF approvals even then. But now things are getting a lot more interesting due to the fact that BlackRock is in on the game, Fidelity, and all of the big institutions are moving heavily on this front. Everyone is anticipating these approvals. But I don't want to be the Debbie Downer here, right? Because I've talked about this in the past. When we look at these ETFs, right, it has to go through the hands of the SEC. What is stopping the SEC from delaying the inevitable, right? What's stopping them from holding out on these ETF approvals while the big players manipulate the market? Because guess what? BlackRock, Fidelity, the big players, they are the ones that are saying, hey, yeah, we want to launch a Bitcoin ETF. Boom, the market pumps. It allows them to take some profits, sell some Bitcoin, things like that. They are already well positioned here. The ETF news, the ETF discussions, the announcements, it's all manipulation of the market, technically speaking. Until we see this approved, it is all manipulation of the market. And even when we do get an ETF approval, remember that it doesn't go live that day. It takes some time, which most of the time we have a little bit of a major sell-off and a pullback. Make sure that you are positioning some stablecoins on the sidelines. 10 to 15% usually is the fair amount worth of stables in terms of your portfolio, but you need to be cautious, especially at this point in time. We do see today is the SEC deadline for Bitcoin ETF updates if applicants want to be in the first wave of approvals. Here we go. And yeah, for those that actually missed it, here are the official ETF deadlines, December 29th all the way through January 10th. Big shout out to ISO 2052. Let's do it for this. We do see here, when is the Bitcoin ETF deadline? We have one Bitcoin ETF deadline for final amendments to spot Bitcoin ETF filings is today. And then, of course, any amendments submitted after this deadline would be considered in the initial wave of potential approvals in early January of 2024. The potential deadline for the first approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF would be January 10th, which is the deadline. Now, again, as we look into this, the first two in line is ARK Investment Management's and also 21 Shares, which we have been looking into a little bit more heavily recently. But the big problem here, right, is that what if nothing happens on January 10th? Is the market going to sell off? Because that's what we have seen in the past from the retail sector. They, buy all the way up into the, big date, and then when nothing happens, they sell off. These dates are worthless. I've always said that these dates are worthless because I feel as though everyone puts way too much weight on these dates. It's the same exact thing that has happened around the XRP community, right? Hey, it's going to happen on this date. It's going to happen on that date. When all we really see is nonsense. It's nothing. It's all hyped up dates and, deadlines with nothing actually happening. But with these ETFs, I've said it in the past, they are hyping the hell out of these ETFs. We see over here from Bitcoin News, Kathy Wood, we think we are the first in line for a spot Bitcoin ETF approval. That's why there is this January 10th deadline. We think a number of funds could be approved at the same time. The questions now from the SEC are very technical, in line with an approval. And check this video out.
Whether it's you or somebody else in terms of the first spot Bitcoin ETF actually getting approval?
Well, we think the probabilities have gone up because the SEC has been highly engaged compared to what was happening before. Before, it was just denying approval. And we just kept putting our filing in again, try,
Yeah.
dogged and determined. And so here we are. We think we're first in line, and that's why there is this January 10th deadline. deadline. But we like the idea that the SEC has been so engaged, and it's not just with us, it's others as well. We think a number of funds could be approved at the same time. And they've been asking not only one set of questions, but follow-up questions. And again, that's a very good sign.
Well, speaking of engagement, go ahead, please. No,
Yeah,
finish.
the last few questions have been very technical, and so more de rigueur, and you'd expect them to be asking these questions as we head toward an approval. Now, it's not 100% certain, and so we want to make that clear as well. This is the SEC, and we never know, what might happen along the way.
So there you guys have it. And again, I love to see her saying, like, this isn't a guarantee that this is going to get approved, because everyone has been saying that, because BlackRock is, filing for a spot Bitcoin ETF, that they're 100% going to be approved immediately because it's BlackRock. And I've been seeing this quite a bit, and I feel as though everyone is getting far too hyped up around this. I feel as though it is a lot of nonsense as well. Remember, right, these Bitcoin ETFs, they definitely are big, but we already have some that have been approved in the past. So to me personally, I don't really think that these ETFs are going to see, any sort of major traction just yet. Again, I could be wrong, and I will welcome me being wrong. But the big deal here, and the big thing to focus on, is manipulation of the retail sector. And I feel as though that's what these ETFs are at the moment, until we actually see approval. Now, when we do see approval, like I said, it's going to take some time for it to actually go fully live. But when they do go live, I do think that they are going to see a substantial amount of money pouring in, and we will talk about that and address that as well. But you guys remember what I said on the 18th. I said they are hyping these ETFs far too much. It's hard not to think of them as the largest sell the news event. And even this was Grayscale CEO tells CNBC a spot Bitcoin ETF would unlock Bitcoin for about $30 trillion worth of advised wealth. And this is also another big misinformation title, right? Which is $30 trillion is about to flow into crypto right now. No, that's not how this works, right? When we talk about BlackRock, for an example, right, with almost $10 trillion in assets under management, they're not going to invest $10 trillion. They just have $10 trillion in assets under management. They even said that they're going to put $10 million in to start the ETF. Now, yes, that's just to start it, and that's just the beginning. It's going to see a lot of money pour in, but you got to remember that it's not trillions of dollars pouring into just Bitcoin, which I've been seeing this again, this misunderstanding this misinformation, getting posted regarding this $30 trillion worth of wealth flowing directly into just Bitcoin in the market. That's not how it works. But we still will see trillions of dollars coming into this space over the course of the next few years. I also think that the ETF definitely is going to welcome in a few, maybe $1 trillion. And I've talked about that. We actually have over here from High Vibe Assets. We do see XRP holders. This is a major confirmation from Coinbase. Confirmed institutional trillions are now in crypto. Check this out.
Begin with the demand. In terms of the crypto trading and associated services, where have you seen the most demand from your client base?
Hi, Will. Thanks very much for having me. Just before I answer this question, it's worth giving a bit of context about the formation of crypto as an asset class. So over the last 20 years, new markets have been created and adopted by institutions. We're talking about FX, treasuries, credit, EM, commodities, derivatives, structured products, and so on. Typically, it takes around 3 to 5 years before clients and their banking and trading partners all adopt a new vertical. But in 2021, crypto markets compacted a 5-year into a 1-year cycle. The end of 2020 kicked off an institutional onboarding year in 2021 as traditional finance participants started to engage in crypto ecosystem in earnest. Institutional clients' volumes basically 10x as they traded $1.1 trillion in volume in cryptocurrency on Coinbase, up from $120 billion the year before. So now to answer your question, I would say every type of institutional investors have been very much involved in 2021, and each for their own reasons. So let's start with hedge funds, which are the primary users and who are using our flagship prime brokerage services to create, maintain, and refine their edge in generating alpha. The second bucket is VCs. They continue to deploy capital in the crypto economy as digital assets and blockchain technology are increasingly viewed as providing uncorrelated returns. The flows are driven mostly by LPs and asset owners who are looking to allocate to growth investments in a low yield environment. The next bucket, family offices, they enjoy lower regulatory and shareholder obligations compared to institutions. And that enables them to be more future forward and seek higher growth strategies. I would say that they were the earliest entrants to crypto as long-term investors. And this was also driven by the next generations that are more open to crypto and digital assets than their parents. Now, to a lesser degree, I would say asset managers, who are the gatekeepers of roughly 200 trillions of capital, their investment mandates and fiduciary duties are unfortunately requiring much longer due diligence. So adoption is taking time with this group. And it's, however, a question of when, not if. And at Coinbase, being a publicly listed company, we're playing a huge role thanks to a very robust suite of products and services for this micro segment. Finally, the last segment is about corporates. Very different is not necessarily about investment, but the utility function of digital assets beyond the investment aspect of tokens resonates very strongly with them. Use cases such as merchant payments, treasury management, and NFTs to better engage with their clients and fans are a proof that this segment is re-entering as an early adoption phase.
So yeah, I mean, as we really look at the institutional side of things, I've been addressing the idea that institutions have been in for a little bit of time. And I strongly believe that everyone needs to realize the fact that, institutions were not just waiting on the sidelines for the inevitable to happen. They've seen the value and the demand regarding, of course, even Bitcoin, for an example, initially out of the gate. So they were not just going to sit idle on the sidelines while there is so much wealth created through this. I do believe that there were certain investment opportunities for the institutions to get into the space. I think that Ethereum was one that really kind of opened the door heavily for big players like JP Morgan, for an example, to have a direct gateway right into this space. So, again, I love to note the fact that institutions have been here for a little bit of time. 2024, it seems as though they are going to scale some operations around crypto, which we have been addressing a little bit regarding custody services, trading services, even offering some client services to their clients around crypto, which would definitely be very interesting to say the least to see happen. But I do think that it really starts with these ETFs. And I think that the ETFs, again, I've mentioned it in the past, for the typical sheep, the herd, if you will, for them, the ETFs is a huge thing because right now, as we look at crypto, try to explain to one of your friends, hey, try to buy some crypto. Again, them going on to Coinbase or Uphold and making an account and setting everything up and looking through it's confusing for them. It's challenging for the typical individual, right? Especially somebody that is not tech savvy. The ETFs, they could be offered directly through an account or, say for so a bank or traditional gateways of opportunity that are more traditional in a sense and also allows for those that are not tech savvy, that don't want to open up a Coinbase account or whatever. It allows for them to have an easy gateway to crypto. So as we look at these ETFs, that's what I'm more so looking at. I'm not so much looking at the potential value that's going to flow into crypto because, again, a lot of these events we have to be cautious about. We have to be careful about. And we definitely need to be looking at them as a possible sell the news event because we don't know what is going to happen with these ETFs, especially with these ETF approvals. The way that I actually see these ETFs is it's kind of like the XRP lawsuit, right? And what do I mean by that? Well, the lawsuit gave us an incredible opportunity to look into a lot of things more heavily, more so looking into, Ethereum, looking into the connections with, the ETHgate pass, things like that. What I really look at with these ETFs is the SEC and the largest Wall Street players can now manipulate the market easily. They are manipulating us through the news cycle. They're, manipulating us through the mainstream media headlines, things like that. And I feel as though, and maybe I'm wrong on this, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this as well, because, maybe I'm wrong. I believe that the SEC is coordinating with the big players like BlackRock, for an example. And what they're setting it up for is, all right, let's hype them up. Let's talk about these ETFs as much as possible. Let's keep, let's keep the mainstream media, hype machine going and be prepared to enter the market heavily if the ETFs are not approved on this specific date. That's why I don't like these dates getting thrown around regarding these ETFs, because I feel as though we put far too much weight on these dates. And what we see, well, is BlackRock or, big players like BlackRock buying up the market while, of course, the market sells off in a heavy way. And remember, right, like these are players that know these dates, they understand these dates, and they understand how to manipulate the retail sector. This is also why I say you need to be cautious. You need to be very, very careful at this current moment in time. Again, these ETFs could definitely be massive for the entire industry, but it's going to take some time for these to actually be approved and even go fully live. Remember that. So with that being said, make sure that you're being careful out there. We are in for a pretty incredible year in terms of 2024. Make sure that you have some stable coins on the sidelines just in case for buying heavy dips like 30% plus. But also make sure that you are already prepared because again, I do think that 2024 is going to be a year filled with incredible ups and downs, but mainly ups. And remember, I also think that 2024 is going to be incredible for wealth creation. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe to notifications on if you guys want more free content. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter, enter in the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Peace out.